So I literally just threw this together this morning. I feel like, I've been out there with you guys on Tuesday nights, and obviously making shots is important, but it's no fun if you're standing in the house or anywhere on the sheet and you're just like, I just have no idea. Like, you're sort of floating, I feel like, and there's no organization to what's happening. So I'm trying to fix that. This is really quite basic. I think it's basic enough.
All right.
I hope it's not too basic. I don't think it is. But anyway, okay, let's go. So, it's a little jumbled too. There's a lot to say, and I don't really know what the best order is, so I kind of guessed. But anyway, it's going to bounce around, and hopefully there's a story I'll tell. So, obviously it doesn't matter what you call if you don't make the shot. And I use the word most, because it is still sort of important if you're even on the right side of the sheet. That, you know what I mean? Like, so it can actually be important, but you guys are getting to the point where you are making enough shots where it's important. But they say it's like 60%. If you're making over 60% or 50% of your shots, then it matters which shots you call. Having no plan is planning to fail. That's one of Keith's favorite things to say. You know who Keith is now, right? Because he was here. So you need to know each end what your plan is. Of course, you have to know how to determine that plan, right? What the goal should be. And it changes depending on various situations. So we can answer these at the end, but this is just something to think about. This is kind of what we're talking about. So first end with hammer, first end without hammer. What's your goal? What should your goal be? Middle of the game, so it's a middle end, like ends 5-6, whatever. When you're winning 5-2, what do you do? What should be your plan, right? And then if you're losing, is your plan different? I don't know. Last end tied, that's easy, right? Your plan is to score. You have to, right? Second to last end tied, maybe not so simple. You know, what are your options and what is your goal for that end? That's the first step. Once you understand that, then you can talk about a strategy for how to achieve that goal, right? I'm taking a little bit of a step back quickly because I thought the girls were going to be here. But you all know what the hammer is. You know what the free guard zone is, yes?
Free guard zone?
No? You do. Good. So I'll explain it though for the parental units who haven't. Right. So it's everything from the hot line to the tee line, not including the house. And any of the first 4 stones, so all the lead stones, that are thrown into that region, so they can't be touching the house. If they're touching the house, they're not a free guard stone. Those cannot be removed by the opposing team. It's illegal to remove stones by the team. Yeah. So that's only for the first 4 rocks. As of the second first, or the 5th rock for the end, all bets are off.
First 4 rocks on each side, or?
No, it's 2, yeah.
2 and 2. And
Just
what if somebody hits it?
It's replaced. Yeah, the stone that was the offending stone is put in the rock house, removed from play, and then it's put back at the discretion of the victim. That's generally how it is in curling. Is that whichever team infracts, the other team basically gets to choose. Doesn't have an offense, but you can move them. You just can't move them out of play. You can move them to the side of the sheet. You can move them into the house. If you move them in the house, they're not free guards anymore. You can hit them on your next stone if you were to do that. So free guards is really important. It's really important. And it's really the only way in this day and age to actually score. Any more than one. And we can talk more, but I don't really go into that too much in this. So the general goal, this is again very, very basics, is to score 2 points or more with hammer. And without the hammer, the goal is to force. That's just general basics. If you're tied and you don't have the hammer, your goal is not to force, because you'll lose the game, right? But in general, if you do this, you'll win the game, right? Because you score 2, force, and then they only get 1. You score 2, now it's 4-1. You force, now it's 4-2, and so on and so forth.
I'm just trying to figure out where Thor is hiding from his hammer.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure that out.
Where's force? What's force?
Force means to have the other team score 1. So that would be a force. And because their goal is to score 2, it's actually a bad thing to get force. Right? You guys know that? Scoring 1 with hammer is not generally good. There are some very rare situations, like if you're tied, or if you're up and it's the last end, it doesn't matter how many you score. Or in some cases, in the third to last end, it can be there's some debate on that, because then you keep the hammer in the evens. But we'll talk about that later. So anyway, strategy versus tactics. I mentioned this. Strategy is the overall plan, and tactics is the shots you employ to carry out that strategy, right? So we're going to talk about this today. can get confused, can get difficult because there's so many stones in play, you know. But strategy is pretty cut and dry in general. Tactics is where things get really interesting. And some tactical options can be very difficult, but have very high rewards, right? And then some tactical options, shots, can be really easy, but maybe don't have as many advantages over a more difficult shot, and those can balance out. Because any shot that you call and miss is probably not going to be helpful. A shot that you call and make is probably going to be helpful. There's always a best shot, and it's usually impossible. So you want to pick one that you're probably more likely to make. An example of that was we were playing a team that had to score 3 to win the game, and they called this just utterly insane shot. They had no other choice. So they called a shot that was technically there, incredibly difficult. They missed it, but they had to call it. So that balance of reward and difficulty can come into play.
Wait, so you have to call your shot what you're trying to do out? Do they do that? You guys do that?
It's not like pool,
Oh, okay.
where you have to like call it and make it.
Right,
But
okay.
the skip's always calling shots.
Okay.
So they're saying, this is what we're going to try. If you don't,
Okay.
if you miss it, then it's fine. Or if you make a different shot that you didn't call, that's also fine.
Okay.
Although we used to have a hat out there, see the poop hat? That was for when you
Okay.
miss horribly and make a great
I
shot.
thought that was chocolate ice cream.
That's good too. It could be. I prefer that. I hate the poop hat.
You make a good shot that you didn't intend on doing?
I don't make good shots that I didn't intend on doing. You have to miss real bad for that to happen. And I don't, because my problem with that poop hat, I have problems with everything. But my problem with that poop hat is people love wearing it. And you shouldn't. You miss. You know what I mean? It's supposed to be like a code of shame.
Right.
But people love it, and that bothers me. I have one game on shots that we did not intend to make.
The poop is always happy though. You might need to make the poop sad.
We really do, right? Yeah. They should be, that's true. It really should be a shameful thing.
In my dog kind of stuff,
Okay, good. Yeah, so that's so it kind of happened and it's totally legal. It's not like in school where you call your own pocket. Yeah. Okay, so the way you go about playing curling depends on many variables. And Keith loves to talk about this an acronym sheets, SHEETZ. Ignore the ETZ. We're just going to talk about the SHE. The ETZ are silly, and they're sort of important. They're kind of obvious. So things like ice conditions. Is my team any good? And, free guard zone, which is a constant. So I don't even know why you think about it. So we're just going to talk about the first three. And those are score, that's the S. Should have made you guess. Are you winning or losing? So obviously, I guess it's obvious. If you're winning by a lot, you don't need to try to score points. So that dictates your strategy, right? If you're losing, you need to try to score points. So that dictates your strategy. Just like in football, if it's 3rd and 10, you've got to probably throw. So, hammer, that's the H. God, I'll make you guess E. Hammer, do you have last rock for this end? So obviously if you have hammer, you're going to play it differently. I don't know if that's obvious. I feel like a lot of people don't do that. But you should, you have to, play the end differently if you have hammer or not. And what's E? I've said it a lot actually already. It's already on the board.
The end.
It's the end, exactly. So if you only have one end left, and you have to play, like if you're tied and you don't have hammer, so tied score, you don't have hammer, that's straight H, and it's the last end, you have to go really hard to steal, right? You have to, because it's the end. But if you're tied and it's the third end, you can play a lot more conservatively, right? So the end, S-H-E. So that should always be going through your head. It'll become second nature. But you think about what's the score. That's by far the most important. Who has hammer, and what end is it? Okay? Okay, offense versus defense. So these are the two basic types of strategy you can play. You're either trying to score or not. So first rock at the end. Is this defense or offense? See that yellow stone there that doesn't look like a curling stone? I would say offense. Does everyone agree that that's offense?
Okay, we're sitting over here.
Yes? No, it's not offense. That's defense. Yeah, no. Yeah. That's super. That's what you do this teacher's head game. So that's defense. The reason is because of the free guard zone. Right? So let's say I wanted to play defense against you're playing offense, right? If you're trying to, and you did this for your offensive move, I'm just going to hit it.
Right.
And then what do? Like you lost the stone, right? And you can't, so, I mean, what do? You hit me, and then I hit you again. You're never going to score more than one. And if you don't have hammer, you're definitely not even going to score 1 because I have hammer. I'm going to score 1. Does that make sense?
Yes, but they're coming.
You said it's defense, but I thought the free guard zone was outside the circle.
Right. Right.
So that's not the free guard.
No, it's not.
That's just stupid.
That's right. Well, it's not in the free guard zone. It's in scoring position, but I can attack
Why
it.
is it defense then?
Because I can attack it. And I will. If you're trying to score points, you have to put your stones where I can't hit them. Right? Does that make sense? Offense. Yes. Guards or offense. And that's number, I think that's number 3 and 4 on my list
I
of,
would think of a guard as defense.
as with a lot of people, but that is wrong, okay? So, and people still think
That
that.
is wrong.
People still think that. They've been curling for like 7 years.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I'm gonna put guards in front of the house to keep it from scoring. I'm like, no! No, that's not how it works.
You're putting that there to help you score.
Exactly!
You're going to put it behind that.
Exactly. I'm going to hide stones behind the guard that I've put up that are protected by the free guard zone. So before the free guard zone, which I didn't start curling without free guard zone, but it was not long before I started that free guard zone actually didn't exist. And they would just hit everything. I'd put it there and they'd hit it and the score would be 1-0 for the whole game. Yeah.
I know you said like the other team can't hit your stones if there's a free guard zone and they're like the first to see that you hit, like that you threw. Can you hit your own?
Yes.
Okay.
That happens sometimes when the lead misses their first. Let's say we're trying to play defensive end. So we're trying to play, what's defense? In the house or out of the house? In the house is defense. Good. And they would light and they throw a guard. That's bad. And what Skips will call is, we call it the peel the shade. And they have to peel their own stones. Because that helps the other team.
So after the first 4 rocks, if you throw it early, it comes off.
Say that again?
After the first 4 rocks, if you throw it in the free guard zone, it doesn't stay.
No, it stays. They're just allowed to hit it.
Oh, they're allowed to hit.
Yeah. It has to go over the hog line. Once it does that, it's in play. Yeah. So you can throw guards, but they're not protected.
Also, what's peeling?
Good, yeah, so peeling. I didn't actually put a list of shots in here, but a peel is when you hit a stone, usually it's in front of the house, peels are, and your shooter rolls off as well. So if you would hit that guard on the nose, exactly, yeah. If you hit that guard on the nose, all it would do is change the color of the guard. It wouldn't achieve anything. Unless maybe you cared about the color of the guard, which is generally not that important, especially if it's far away from the house. But yeah, so peeling it would be to remove that guard completely, right? And then you'd have to put it back and then peel it again.
No, it's actually in Deca Sport. The original Deca Sport.
Yeah, I like that, yeah. Peel's also a weight, so it's basically the most you can throw. You throw a lot of weight to try to make your stone roll off as well. They tend to be really hard. But it's one of the takeouts.
We have 2 more weeks.
Basically, they're draws and takeouts.
6 weeks.
And there's a bunch of different types of takeouts, a bunch of different types of draws. Okay.
6 weeks, you can.
Offense.
And then
This is with hammer. Now let's say you're playing without hammer, so you have to throw after they've thrown 1. Right?
we'll probably try to
We're gonna
do it 4
assume-
weeks before Christmas. But we'll see how that goes. Okay? But it'll still be the same time.
We're going to assume...
I'll try to get the date down.
How do we go backwards? Oh, it's magic. Okay.
Magic, that's not what I'm.
There you go. So they go first. They're playing defense. You need to score because you're losing, let's say. Right? Offensive.
We do need to score.
What's that?
The actual premise, we need to score.
In this scenario, yes. Right? Yeah. So I put the stones in first, but yes. So the answer to this is offense, right? Because it's in front of the house.
Yeah.
Right? Notice how it's not on the center line. You're not guarding them. You have to hit them eventually. Right? So you put it off to the side so that you can later hide one behind it.
Like right there on the
You're eventually going to have to deal with that yellow in the center.
You don't want to guard them.
Exactly. So you guard something else. You're trying to guard space. It's a little bit like passing the space in soccer.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, so this is called a corner guard. And you do that with or without hammer?
Without.
With or without, what?
Without? With.
With hammer. Right. You do,
Why?
you do
Why do you
corner
do it
guards
with?
with hammer.
Why?
Because the reason is because, I'm trying to decide if I want to say this, but I do. The reason is because you want to keep play to the side so that you can make your hammer count.
Gotcha.
Right? If you have the middle clog, you won't have an option with your last rock.
Your last drive, you want to just put it right in the
Your
middle.
last rock, you want that middle to be open, so you can always get at least your 1. And if you can generate a point around the corner guard, then you get your 2. Yeah. So we'll talk about that in the last slide, when that list of the most important things. But yeah, corner guard off the side. Offense or defense? Hammer rock. The green rock. Yep. This is the second rock of the end.
Defense.
It's defense, exactly. And this is legal because that stone's not in the free guard zone.
Right.
Right? Now, and I don't have slides up for this yet. I guess I forgot, but it's complicated, so we'll talk about it
Should I
later.
take notes so you remember to put it in?
It wouldn't hurt. If let's say, what's that? Oh, that's true. Yeah, we can look back at that and make all the critique. If let's say yellow put up a center guard, these two scenarios don't include that possibility, right? That means yellow's trying to score. Then what do you do as hammer or green? Like then things get complicated. What's that? You can't. It's illegal. Free guard zone, right?
Why wouldn't you go around it and put one behind it?
You can, but what's the rule with playing with the hammer?
Oh, with a hammer. You
Play
want
to
to
the
center of
You
it
play to the outside.
outside, so then you put a guard outside.
You can, so you can put up a corner guard. That's an option.
Corner guard.
Coming around, it's an option.
Oh, okay.
Ticking it is an option.
What?
Moving the stone but not hitting it out of play is an
Oh,
option.
you can move it.
You can move it. You
Oh, so
can't.
you, in the
Right.
oh.
Yeah.
So,
It's hard.
so if it's in the free, if it's in the free zone, you can hit it.
Yes.
But you can't
What
take it
was
outside.
something new you learned
Oh, I
today?
got
Yeah.
Anything new you learned?
So that's an option. Another option is draw to the wings. That's a very defensive move.
Where's the wing?
The outside,
Outside.
but you're actually in the house. So like a
Oh.
draw in the house, but it's very defensive.
Anything new?
It's sort of So that's an option. There's a bunch of
Then
options.
they got to hit it from outside.
You're baiting them into hitting it. If they hit it, fine, you hit them, and then eventually you go after their center guard. Because when it's legal, then you hit that thing, and you say, we're gonna play some defense. But it's complicated, which is why I'm ignoring it. Hammer strategy when the other team is trying to score is complicated. Okay, if they're not trying to score, it's easy because they go in the house, you throw the corner guard.
Why would you not try to score? Is the goal every end to score?
Good point. Yes. No. What if you're winning? 7-2.
I want to cream them 20 to 5. 20 to 5.
The goal is to win,
Okay.
right? And the problem is if you play aggressively, you are going to put stones in places where they can then use your stones.
Okay.
Because the color of the stone doesn't matter if it's dark.
So that's really important.
They can hide behind it, you can hide behind it. Right? So if you leave those stones up there in order to generate your offense, which is what you're saying you want to do, play aggressive the whole time, then they're going to say, I'm in this game. I'm being given opportunities. Because these stones are here for me to hide behind. So that's how teams get back in. And you watch club curling, it happens all the time. A team will start winning, but because they don't know how or aren't willing to play defense, the other team gets back in the game. And that never happens at the highest level. I mean, it does, but it's very rare.
So can I play that back? Just make so if you're winning, you just want to put it in that front part because then they have to knock it out, and the most they can win is 1 point.
Gotcha.
In the house.
In the house.
You want to put it in the house.
In the house.
They're going to ignore you because they have to. If they hit you, that's exactly right. All they're going to
So
get
if
is
they
one.
need to score, then they'll try to play offense and put it in the free.
And they're going to ignore you in the house, and you're going to say, oh, I have a free stone in the house. Then you might guard it,
Now I'm trying to program one.
right? And then or you might even just put one right on top of it if you're playing really defensively. But stones, even stones in the house, can help the opposing team. So if a team's winning by enough, they'll chuck them right through the house. They don't want their stones around to help the other team, which is weird, but it's the thing. Pretty common. Okay, so that's it. So now it's the other way around. So I'm going to ask you where to put the stone. So without hammer, first rock of the end, we're playing offense.
Corner guard.
I put center.
Do we have hammer or not?
Oh, wait. We have hammer, right?
We do not have
Without
a
hammer.
Okay, no.
Oh, center.
Center guard. Good. Center guard. Yay. Okay. Now we're not trying to score. We're not going to go past the first 2 rocks. This is the most important thing. So first rock of the end, we're not trying to score. So we're playing defense. We still don't have hammer. Where do we go?
House.
Top 4? The red little circle?
Yeah.
Yeah? Right, defense is in the house.
Right.
Offense is in front of the house.
Okay.
And without hammer, we play to the middle. Okay, now with hammer, your first rock end. So they went already. They're playing defense. Now it's your turn. You're trying to score. Where do you throw?
Corner guard.
Corner.
Or they get
Whoops, I'm sorry, I hit it twice. But anyway, you take it out, right? Okay, good.
Go back out.
This is the last slide. Derick's rules of thumb. And this is formulated over many years of me holding my head and watching club curling. This is very rarely offended in any sort of competitive level. Very, very, very rarely do people do it. But you know the first four, right? Haven't played the wings, not haven't played the side. Defense and nuts. That's it. That's basically it. The last two are just sort of my pet peeves. People love trying to score, generate offense, by throwing freezes. You know what a freeze is?
Freeze stuff like right in front, right?
Yes. That won't work. Because it has to be absolutely perfect. If it's just off to the side, nose on that, the stone will go. You'll lose the one in the back too, but your stone is not going to stay in the house. It has to be absolutely perfect, and it's a very difficult shot to make perfectly. Freezes can be useful in one scenario, and that's when there's a guard, guarding half of the stone. So if there's no way for the opposing team to hit the side that'll make that stone go, then it's okay. So you can freeze if there's a guard. But without a guard, only freeze if you're screwed, and you have no other options. Like if there's no guards in play, you've tried to put your guards up, you're trying to, but somehow they made a gorgeous double peel or a triple peel and got rid of all your stones, then that happens. And you have nothing left, try it. Freeze. Try to put the backing there so when they hit you, yours hits them and yours stays. Try. But other than that, don't ever have freezing be your intentional method, tactics to be offensive. Okay? And the last one is never draw behind a corner guard without hammer. Okay? That is a fool's errand. You'll see people do it all the time. Lance did it against you 40,000 times. Actually, he had me do it. And I did it because he was my skip. But I was fuming. And what happens is if you're light, you give him another corner guard. Right?
Yeah.
Which is great. If you're heavy, you give them backing, and they freeze you with a guard, which is okay. Right? And then now they're buried and they have backing behind their corner guard. Right? If I make it perfectly, who cares?
Yeah.
Because they still have the center of the house. They still have the draw, right? So whatever. The only time you can do it is with skips rocks. If it's just skips last, there's nothing else in play, and they have a corner guard, yeah, hide it. Force them. Because if you don't hide it, they'll peel it and play at the end. So then you can do it. But I got a 7-ender one time because people did this against me. On my team. And we got 7 because they kept missing. They'd just barely make it. They were so close, and it would tick and roll off or whatever, and we'd hit and roll behind the corner. And they'd try again, and they missed it, and we drew around, and you just racked up points. But the thing is, even if they made one eventually, we'd still have the center. So it's not an effective strategy to try to deal with a team that has hammer. Actually, a few weeks ago, my team took 5 because of this exact situation. So what do? You put up center guards. You have to. Even if the 3 guard zone's over, you put up center guards. Or you peel their corner. Those are your options, but don't come around it. So those two are a little weirder, but the first 4 are the most important, okay?
Derick?
Yes.
So, can I combine these together and say hammer offense means play to the wings in front of the house. Hammer defense means play to the wings in the house.
Yes.
Non-hammer offense, play to the middle in front of the house, and
Yes.
non-hammer defense,
Yes.
play to the middle in the
That's
house.
how I normally present it. Yes, exactly.
Got it.
Offense, defense, hammer, not hammer.
2x2 square thing.
Yes.
Offense, defense.
Yep.
Hammer, non-hammer.
That's exactly right. And if you do those first 4, you're going to know how to play a curling game. Any stone with hammer that clears the middle is good. I don't care what's happening. Any stone, even if it wasn't what you called or tried to throw, if it does that, if it clears the middle in some way, then it's actually helping you. And vice versa. If you don't have hammer and you're blocking the middle, that's great too. So, yeah. Okay? That's it. That's all I have for basic 101.
That's good.
Tactics get more fun and doubles and where you hide things, but it's all about the free guard zone. It really is, because without it, the sport's meaningless.